The world has witnessed some of the most brutal and decisive armed conflicts in recent history. From power struggles to humanitarian crises, these conflicts have left an indelible mark. Join us as we break down the 7 most important armed conflicts of 2024. Number 1. The conflict in Syria. The conflict in Syria is a civil war that began in 2011 with a peaceful demonstration against the government of Bashar al-Assad. The government's response with repression escalated the situation into a prolonged and devastating armed conflict of the last decade. Despite the departure of President Bashar al-Assad, the country remains mired in uncertainty. The Hayat Tahrir al-Sham group has gained ground, further complicating the political and humanitarian situation. Number 2. The war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine is an escalation of the Russian-Ukrainian war that began in 2014 after the events of Euromaidan, where Russia concentrated its troops on the borders of Ukraine in mid-2021. On February 24, 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine on a large scale. The conflict in Ukraine continues to affect millions of people. Fighting between Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed separatists has caused severe damage and mass displacement. It is the largest military attack in Europe since World War II. Number 3. The crisis in Yemen. The conflict originated after the 2014 coup against President al-Hadi. Some analysts point out that there is also a dispute over regional power, oil, gas, and investments abroad. The conflict includes southern separatists, forces loyal to al-Hadi's government, Houthi warriors, and forces loyal to former President Saleh. Jihadist organizations such as al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant have also participated. Yemen is the largest humanitarian crisis in the world. Nearly 4 million people have been displaced, and 4 out of 5 people need humanitarian assistance. Number 4. The war in Afghanistan. The Afghanistan War was a military conflict that was fought in Afghanistan and parts of Pakistan between 2001 and 2021. It was the longest conflict in the history of the United States and its allies. The war began on October 7, 2001 after the September 11 attacks with the aim of overthrowing the Taliban government and dismantling the al-Qaeda terrorist network. The initial coalition, which included the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, and Spain, managed to overthrow the Taliban government and allow free elections to be held. The war ended on August 15, 2021, when the Taliban fell on Kabul, and on August 30th of that same year, foreign troops withdrew. But unfortunately, Afghanistan remains a battlefield. Clashes between government forces and the Taliban have generated widespread insecurity and humanitarian problems. Number 5. Violence in Ethiopia. The conflict in Ethiopia has had several stages, including the Tigray War, the Ethiopian-Eritrean War, and the Ethiopian Civil War. Tigray. This conflict pitted rebels in the Tigray region against the federal government. The conflict caused tens of thousands of deaths and the displacement of almost 2 million people. In November 2022, both sides signed a peace agreement that included a cessation of hostilities and the re-establishment of federal authority in the region. However, the status of the western zone of the Tigray region remains in dispute. War between Ethiopia and Eritrea. This war lasted just over 2 years, from May 1998 to June 2000. Ethiopia won the war militarily, but the International Court ruled in favor of Eritrea. Ethiopian Civil War. This war was fought between the Ethiopian Derg military junta and Ethiopian-Eritrean anti-government rebels from September 12, 1974 to May 28, 1991. The war left at least 1.4 million dead. The conflict in Ethiopia has caused a humanitarian crisis in the country, with dozens of communities living in the desert in near total famine. Furthermore, the conflict has increased the risk of gender-based violence, sexual exploitation, and abuse. Number 6. The insurgency in Nigeria. The insurgency in Nigeria, led by the terrorist group Boko Haram, began in 2002. Boko Haram, whose name means "Western education is a sin," seeks to impose Sharia law throughout the country. Since 2009, the conflict has escalated significantly, causing thousands of deaths and mass displacement. Boko Haram has carried out numerous terrorist attacks, kidnappings, and armed confrontations, especially in the northeast of the country. In 2014, the group captured the town of Baga and other areas but has since lost much of its territory to intervention by Nigerian forces and a multinational coalition. Despite efforts to combat Boko Haram, the insurgency remains a significant threat in the region, with continued human rights violations and an ongoing humanitarian crisis. Number 7. The Civil War in Sudan. The civil war in Sudan began on April 15, 2023, pitting the Sudanese Armed Forces (SAF) against the Rapid Support Forces (RSF), a powerful paramilitary militia. This conflict arose from a power dispute between military leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and RSF commander Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hemedti. Hostilities escalated rapidly, with fighting in the capital, Khartoum, and other regions of the country, including Darfur. The violence has caused thousands of deaths and millions of displaced people, worsening the humanitarian crisis in the country. Despite international efforts to mediate the conflict, the situation remains critical, with ongoing clashes and a growing need for humanitarian aid. These conflicts have left an indelible mark on the affected regions. The international community must redouble its efforts to promote peace and stability in these conflict zones. Only through cooperation and understanding can we aspire to a better future. If you found this video educational, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel. Give us a like and activate the notification bell to notify you when we publish new content. And of course, share this video among your family and friends. Until next time.